Hey, hey, how's it going? It's 3 o'clock. It's that time. We are here. It's something special today, something a little different. We're doing productivity tips for you and your PC. So that should be kind of fun. Let's see. We got the share screen going on here. Everybody's seeing that? I think you are. Good. So Tiffany, I see you hiding over there. Don't hide from me. You come on aboard here.
I have a couple kiddos up here, so that's why I keep shutting it off and leaving it.
All right. So, feel free to pop in. You can pop in and out if you'd like. I know you're there. So, what we have is on your screen right now is some of the things that I'm going to cover. And you may want to, I may have to send you this because I'm going to hit you hard and fast with some really cool stuff that's going to be some productivity tips. Now, I've been using Windows forever. I talked about this once before. Although I'm a Mac guy now, I grew up on Windows and I built computers for many, many years, performance machines back in the days when you really had to wring performance out of machines. And the last version of Windows that I spent any living in was Windows 8, but I've been keeping up to date on the rest of them since then. And right now we're on Windows 11. So that's what I'm going to start to show you. And I'm going to show you some of the things to make Windows 11 a little bit more familiar if you're more familiar with an older version of the operating system. We're not going back all the way to XP or anything crazy like that, but we're going to go back and look at Windows 10 with the taskbar, and we're going to do some really cool stuff. So some of the things that I'm going to be showing you are a thing called Textexpander to make your life easier, to basically shortcuts, just a whole bunch of shortcuts. We're going to talk about backing up. We're going to talk about Windows Snap. We're going to talk about virtual desktops. The Windows key is your friend. And we got a whole bunch of good stuff there. Then I'm going to talk about file management, and that's specifically for real estate agents. We're going to be looking at what's called a quickie folder, and I'm going to show you how to make one of those and how to use it every day. And we're talking about labeling your documents. And then we're going to go into, after all those labeling and stuff, we're going to talk about Google Chrome. And I'm going to show you some of the tips that are going to make Chrome a little bit easier for you to use. So let me go ahead here and switch-a-rooney the view-a-rooney to show you, instead of Chrome, we're going to show you Windows. Boom. That should do it. Look at that nice Windows desktop there. Huh? What? Robert has Windows? Secret be told here, I'm running Parallels. So if you're a Mac user and you want to run Windows, you can run it using Parallels. So I'm running Windows Parallels here. So here is Windows 11. And I actually run ahead of the game in terms of the Windows operating system. So you're actually looking at a preview build, something that they're going to be releasing shortly. So there's nothing secret in here. There's nothing fancy like we need to worry about or anything like that. But this is a preview and it has some other stuff. So let's get started here. So number one, as you probably have noticed in Windows 11, the taskbar is now in the middle, and it looks very much like the ones that you would see in a Mac. So it has like a dock kind of look. The one thing that they did keep was the taskbar itself is something where it goes the whole way across here. So keep that in mind, that you have a Mac looking thing, but it's still a Windows object here. A couple things on the taskbar. You may have noticed there's a new little widgets icon here. And this widget is kind of like the old version of the start bar that had all the cool widgets. They separated them out so that you now have the widgets here, which, your weather and your news and stuff like that. And it doesn't clutter up or impact anything that's on the start menu or the Windows icon. And we're going to talk about that Windows icon a lot throughout this, just to remind you that there's a lot to do on that. And that there's far more than just clicking it to get to your programs here. So one of the first things that I'm going to show you here is that if you right-click the Windows start bar, you get a text menu here. And the text menu is, it shows your installed apps, your mobility, power options. You have a lot of direct connections to areas without having icons and clutter and all that. So it actually makes it easier if you right-click the Windows icon on the taskbar to get to certain things. So one of the things that you should know about is obviously search here. So search is available on the right-click menu, but search is also available when you're looking at the bar itself. There is a click here to search, and it brings you directly into your search window, which is kind of nice that you have that search now. Here's a shortcut tip for you. So one of the first ones, you don't even need to click any of this stuff or do anything if you wanted to open an application. So let's say, for example, now you can see that I have Excel down on the taskbar, and that's obvious. But if you have a program that's not on the taskbar, if you just tap the Windows key and start typing, it will show you the application that you're looking for. And that applies for files and folders as well. So just as I'll recap that for you. You don't have to click anything with your mouse. You can actually just, right from your keyboard, just tap the Windows key, and it will bring up the search dialog where all you have to do is type. So if you wanted to find Excel, you just type in Excel and it's right there. So it's really a very, very quick way to do things. I'm not going to compare it to the Mac, but the speed is now very, very quick to do searching for things. So all you got to do, tap the Windows key on your keyboard and start typing. Of course, you can always click the search icon and do the search, do it that way. But I think that that's a much faster way to find things. So another shortcut that I'm going to give you, which is a very valuable shortcut. You see over here on the right-hand side of my taskbar, I have the File Explorer. And the File Explorer is basically the folders on your hard drive. Well, again, when you click on this, yes, you get taken into your Windows folder system, and we're going to go over some cool things in here in a minute. But again, you don't even need to do that to get into File Explorer. So if you will just want to open up Explorer, just tap the Windows key, hold down the Windows key, and tap the letter E. So Windows E, and that will open up the Explorer window for you as well. So just Windows E, and it'll open on yours, trust me. So Windows E is a shortcut to get to the Explorer where you have this. So now that we're kind of working our way across some things here, let me come back to the taskbar, and we're going to talk about how you can move the Windows taskbar, this little series of buttons here. If you want to get more kind of like old school and you want it back over on the left where a lot of people say that it belongs, if you right-click the taskbar, not the icons on the taskbar, but if you right-click the taskbar and you choose Taskbar Settings, if you choose that here, it's going to take you into the taskbar settings within your settings area. And then on here, you'll notice that it's taking you already to Personalization Taskbar. Now you see here, we have the search, the little window of the magnifying glass. That's what this is indicating. We also have a Task View button that we can add, and I'll put that in here, and you can see down at the bottom, we now have a Task View, and I'll show you that in just a moment here, because that is going to kind of play into the next section. As a matter of fact, if you're playing along at home, you'll want to enable Task View, because it's going to be part of what we do later on. So to get there again, in case you didn't catch that, you right-click the taskbar, choose Taskbar Settings, and then in the Personalization Taskbar window here, turn on Task View. Now, if you don't use the widgets, which I don't personally, I left them on here for you, but you can turn the widgets off, and that's that weather and news and stuff like that. I've never really been much of a user of widgets on my desktop, so I typically turn them off. I'll go ahead and turn it off now, and you can see it disappears from my taskbar. All right, so you also have here a chat if you use Windows Chat, but I don't know how many of you actually use that. So now let's come down a little bit further, because I want to, like I said, I wanted to show you how we can move the taskbar back to the left-hand side. So at the bottom of this list of all the taskbar options is Taskbar Behaviors. And the taskbar behavior that we're looking for specifically is the alignment. So if we click on Taskbar Behaviors, and I'll scroll down here so you can see it, Taskbar Alignment, and the default is center. And no, you can't go to the right. I'm sure somebody's written a little program that'll allow that, but you can click here and choose left, and it puts it back on the left side where you want it to be. So if you do want it on there, so again, right-click the taskbar, Taskbar Personalization, slide down to the bottom, Taskbar Behaviors, Taskbar Alignment. I know it sounds crazy. There's a lot going on here. Okay, so there you go. So that takes care of putting the taskbar to the left. And I do that first because a lot of people get, kind of like, wait a minute, that's the most important thing I want to know. How do I do that? So there you go. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to close the settings area here. So I'll go ahead into the top right and I'm going to click the close button. So now we're back down to our desktop and we've got our start bar, our start menu with our start on the left-hand side where it belongs, and we're in good shape here. Okay. So looking at the Windows start menu now, instead of having it like the old school was vertical, everything here is in icon shape. And the icons that we're seeing are pinned icons. There's a button to the right that says all apps. But what I want to impress upon you here is that these are, in my case, most of these are the defaults for when you load up Windows. I don't do a lot of customization here because I like to show it just as it is. But most of this stuff here is pinned automatically. So if we look at any one of these icons and right click it, you can unpin it from this start menu. And this is important because if you're not using TikTok, if you're not using Tips, if you're not using OneNote, you don't need them in your way. And we're talking about productivity here. So let me clean up a couple of things. I'm going to right click. I'm going to remove TikTok from the pins. I'm going to remove OneNote, which by the way, OneNote is a great program. If you're looking for a note-taking program, you can't beat OneNote. It's a great program. So I'm going to unpin that. And then I'll just kind of leave it there with just showing you that we can unpin some of these things by right-clicking them. The other thing that we can do is we can move things around. So you see I got Google Chrome here on the top left, and then I've got Notepad. What if I want Word next to Chrome? I can do that. Just drag and drop these into the sections that you want. Now the Windows 8 menu had these blocks that you could move around. I like that they've gotten rid of that and just kept it nice and clean. So you can kind of move these around, put them where you want, and have direct access to the programs you need. If you want to add a program to the Windows start menu here, for example, if you've got Zoom down here, Zoom is on my taskbar. It's not in my my start menu, and it's certainly not pinned. You can right-click the Zoom icon on your taskbar, and it will give you the option to unpin it from the taskbar, or it will give you the option to quit it and all that stuff. But you'll notice that you don't have the option to like put it in the taskbar. Well, you don't have the option to directly put it in the taskbar, but you can click the All Apps and search for Zoom. Hello, there we go. And when you find Zoom, you can then take that Zoom and you can put it on the start menu. So on the left-hand side here, when you find Zoom, choose right-click and pin to start. And when you do that, it will now be pinned. Oh, I'm clicking too fast. Clicking to, come on. There we go. Zoom. And now, once again, I'll move Zoom up here next to my Office apps. So organize your start menu to a productive way of working. You can put anything you want here. You can absolutely organize it the best way that suits you. Is this just effective for Windows 11? So the reality, Tiffany, is that Windows 10 and Windows 11 are almost identical. One of the most graphical changes was putting the taskbar in the middle. For the sake of what we're talking about here, pretty much everything that we're doing still can be done on the start menu in Windows 10. And I'm assuming that that's what you're referring to. I don't know if you're going back any further than there was no 9. So if you're on 8.
That was it.
Okay. So yeah, most of this should work. If you find any weird things or anything, just look around for the tools like All Apps and things like that. It should be able to get those in there for you. Okay. All right. So I'm going to talk about this program now. So basically organize your start menu to make it work for you. Put all the things that you need across the top here. And remember, at the end of the day, you don't even need it, because if I want to start a program, all I have to do is tap the Windows key and type what I'm looking for. So if I'm looking to start Zoom, I just type in Zoom and Zoom comes up and I hit enter and Zoom is going to start. Okay. So you don't even need, quite frankly, the start bar. It's just not necessary. So that makes it a lot easier to work with. Now, So this little program, now I'm not a salesman, I'm not selling Textexpander, but if I was to buy in stock in a company, it would be this. And by the way, Zoom is starting now, even though it's running a little slow. Zoom is starting because I hit the Windows key, type the letters ZOOM, and I hit enter. So any program can be started. Windows, the name of the program, and then enter and you're gone. Okay, I'll close Zoom because I don't need it. So this little Textexpander, I don't know the name of the company. Let's take a peek because my Chrome is right here. So I'll start Chrome, and I want to find out who makes this because I live by this thing. So I have shortcuts, and the shortcuts are essentially snippets that you put together that you can use keyboard shortcuts or keyboard commands that you define to automatically enter text in pretty much anywhere. And I use it for paragraphs of text. When I need to put something into an SOP that I'm working on, or if I need to add text to a document and I have these boilerplate things, I use Textexpander to do it. As a matter of fact, over here, oh, here it is. All of my Textexpander shortcuts are on my little sheet that I have here. And what this is it's a list of all the shortcuts that I use and their key codes that I use them for. So like when I'm searching for some of my demo clients, I use the keyboard shortcut JMA. It's not a real word, it's just my little shortcut. And that brings up the contact in my database that allows me to quickly get that person in the database. Tiffany, am I slowing down and glitching a little bit in the Zoom? Because it looks like up there I'm stuttering. All right, I'm going to stop the share here and see if when I restart the share, that fixes it. Because I'm seeing that it looks a little funky up there.
Is it just you and I?
Yes, it is.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
I've got a couple people in the... No, I've got a couple people watching on Facebook, but it's right now it's just you and I in here. So is that fixing it a little bit better?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, so I'll leave that. You don't need to worry about the camera on the left there, even though it's just showing the small version of the screen. Okay, so let me show you a couple things. Like in the Keller Williams shortcuts here, for what I have all these different ones, like direct phone numbers and any kind of shortcut that I want to use. And so I use these abbreviations to do it. As a real estate agent, you're probably going to be dealing a lot with boilerplate text, things that you want to send messages out to somebody. You want to send a thank you for reaching out to me. I hope to be talking with you soon. If you would like to connect, blah, blah, blah. You can create these little shortcuts for $3 a month is what I pay, $33 a year. And I have an unlimited number of these things. And I live by these, and they can put any kind of text in here. You can do the forms, you can fill out forms, you can do all sorts of stuff. Again, not selling the product, but I totally think that you should invest for $3 a month in Textexpander and take a few weeks to just get used to it, develop your own shortcut list. And I don't remember all my shortcuts, so I keep them by my side. I always have them with me. It's parked in my little between my computers here, and I just grab it. I'm like, what is the shortcut for entering a generic description for a class? There, boom, right there. RCLAS.
It's called Textexpander.
Yep, Textexpander.
But that's for sending like an email, not a text message.
No, it's for anything. What it does, that's a good question. So what it does is you type in some words. Let's say you want to say, thanks for reaching out. Would this be a good time to call? But instead of actually typing that out in your text message, you type in our text or some keyboard combination that you know that works for you. And I'll tell you, my secret text codes all begin with R. So it's all Robert R, and then like our text, and it will put in the text body of a message so that I can reply to a text message. It works in email. It works online. It works in any place where you would type. You can use Textexpander to open up a bunch of text in a small area with a shortcut key. So I'll give you an example.
I don't know how it's getting to my cell phone.
It's not on your cell phone.
Oh, okay.
Okay. It's just in It's just in the computer here. I don't think Textexpander has a shortcut or a tool for the phone. So I'll give you an example. I'm going to open up Word here, and I'm just going to show you what happens like when I go into a blank document. So we know how we have the legal footer in our KW environment where we have to say each office is independently owned and operated. My shortcut is RFOOT. And I type in RFOOT, and I got to actually start Textexpander here because it's not running. So let me start that. There, but it just did it. So I type in RFOOT, and my text expands all the way out to each office is independently owned and operated. And that's just using a keyboard shortcut, just a few words. So like the Portsmouth office phone number is RMC. And I type that in, and it automatically highlights it, replaces it, and puts in the Portsmouth office. All I typed was RMC. So, like, I'll give you one more example. So here's some of the cool things that it can do. It can actually give you drop downs. So RLIC is my shortcut to open up the license drop down, so that when I type that in, it opens up a little drop down for me. And it says, which office do you need the drop down for? Which office do you need the license number for? Portsmouth, what is that? Wolfboro, Meredith, and North Conway. So if I wanted the Portsmouth license number, I just click that and I say, okay. And it puts that Portsmouth license number. I don't have to remember it. It just does things automatically. So Textexpander, absolutely one of my favorite tools ever invented. You should totally check it out. Okay, so I wanted to make sure everybody knew about that. That was one of the first things that I wanted to give to you guys, because as a productivity tool, Textexpander will save you tons of time. And I'm a terrible typist. So when I put a block of text into Textexpander, I know that it's going to come out the right way every single time. Every morning when I do the quick start, it's RKWI. And the whole introduction with welcome, good morning, it's this date and happy whatever. And 90 days from now is XXX. And it's got a date calculator in it. It's awesome. It automatically fills it in. So you should absolutely check that out. Okay, so now let's take a look at some of the other things. I'm going to open up Windows, Word, and Excel. And I'm only going to do this because I want 2 programs open. I just randomly picked a couple of programs. If you are a user of multiple programs at once, I'm going to show you several things right now, how to make that easier for you to work. So I'm going to create a blank Excel workbook, and in Word, we're going to go ahead and create a blank document as well. So we're going to have 2 things here. Okay. All right. So here's what's going on. These 2 programs are kind of like right on top of each other. And it's kind of a pain in the butt. Now, if I needed to work with both of these programs side by side, I could drag things around and move them around. But Windows has a new tool that is called Snap. If you go to where the little square in the corner next to the X and just hover your mouse, don't click it, because that's the minimize, maximize button, right? Don't click it, but just hover your mouse, and you're going to get these windows where you can put this program. So let's say, for example, I want to evenly split Excel and Word. So I'll put Word on the right. So I'll click this. Now watch what happens here, because when I click it, it's like, okay, I put Word on the right. What do you want on the left? And it automatically shows me the programs that would be available for me to put on the left. So I don't have to do the same thing in Excel. All I got to do is click and say, okay, I want Excel on the left. And now what it's going to do is split my screen so that both of those programs are perfectly side by side. So now I can work. Now let's go ahead and we'll pull this down, if you will, and I'll put it back in the middle of the screen. And we'll do it a different way. We'll say hover over the expansion window or the expand window in the top right corner. And maybe I want to put Excel in the small upper right-hand side. So I can do that. And it says, okay, great. What do you want to put on the left side? And I'll say, I'll put Word over here. So now Word is going to be full side on here. And now it's going, hey, by the way, you got Chrome. Chrome is open. Do you want to do anything with Chrome? And if you don't have to. You can just click in Word and begin working, and you can just work like this. So this is called Windows Snap, and it's available just by hovering over the expand collapse button. Don't click it, just hover over it, and you'll be able to get to those. And I love that tool because especially if you're working on a large monitor, this can be a real help to kind of automatically move things around. So Windows Snap, it's available on every program when it's opened up in Windows that you can do that too. So that's a really cool, and I use Office, but it doesn't have to be Office.
So do we have to open this program, or is it as long as we're in one of the programs, it'll be there?
The programs that you want to place in these areas need to be running. So in the case, like I have Excel running now. And so if I go up here and I put it on the right-hand side, it's going to be like, yeah, well, the only other program is Chrome because I closed Word. So the only thing left to put up here is Chrome. So it's going to, go ahead.
Okay. No, now I was going to ask, can we do this? And if we have a second screen, can we do even more on the second screen?
Absolutely. And that is the next topic. So perfect timing. It's like, oh man, it's like almost like we worked that out. Okay. So before I go to that next topic, I want to show you a couple of other things here about organizing your desktop. So I'm going to open up Chrome, and I'm going to go into a profile, which we're going to discuss that in a moment as well. But I'm going to open Chrome, and I'm going to open Microsoft Word here. And it's taking its sweet time. When I'm running the eCam on my machine, it definitely gives, it takes some horsepower to do all of this, running Windows with the recording software. So here's what's going on. I've got Word open, I've got Excel open, and I've got Chrome open. I've got everything going on. If I'm getting a little too cluttered here, and I only have 3, but this example will hold whether you have 3 or 300. If you want to focus on Excel and get everything else out of the way, but not really out of the way, you don't want to close anything, you can just take the taskbar at the top of any program, up here for Chrome, up here for Word, and on the top for Excel. And if you just take that and then shake it, Windows will minimize every other program and you'll have focus mode. So just by shaking the taskbar, click it and shake it. And if you want to bring them back, do the same thing, click it and shake it, and it will bring back the programs that were minimized. They're not closed, they're not dead. So you want to work on Excel? Great, let's focus on Excel. Shake it, and it will close everything, and now we can focus on Excel. Want to bring back all the other ones? Shake it again, and it brings back all the other programs, and now I can bring up Chrome, shake it, and it will focus Chrome. Love that. Love it. Because here's the thing, you know, I joke with Sue Doyle and a whole bunch of people about how we're always talking about how 1,000 tabs open in Chrome, and you know they never want to close anything. You should never worry or fear closing any of your tabs. You'll be fine. Everything will be just fine, and you'll be able to get to them. So we'll talk about that in just a minute. But this is a great way for you to keep things focused and keep things open. So let's see, where are we at here? Okay, so here the next one. I love this one. You're gonna love this. So I'm gonna shake this to bring back those other 2 programs, and there they are. And let's go ahead and put these like we talked about Windows Snap. So I'm gonna do Chrome on the left. We're gonna come over here and put Excel on the top right, and on the bottom right we're gonna put Word. Look at that, perfectly lined up, right? Now, do you remember when we were in the taskbar settings, I said to you, go ahead and set the task view to have your different desktops. And I'll show you that again because you're probably wondering, what are you talking about? So right click the taskbar, go to taskbar settings. And when taskbar settings opens up, one of the first things we see is task view. If this switch is on, then what you have down here is a little gray monitor. And when you click on this, you can have multiple desktops in your computer. One computer, one physical monitor with multiple screens. So here's desktop 1. So I'll go back to desktop 1, and let's say that we're going to look at PowerPoint, and we're working on PowerPoint here. I can do my work in PowerPoint. And by the way, while PowerPoint is loading up here, I could actually switch over to my other views and say, you know what, show me the other desktops that I have. So with Task View, you can have multiple desktops on one machine. So PowerPoint is over here, and now I've got Google, Excel, and Word over here. And when I want to switch back and forth, the keyboard shortcut for this is the is it Windows Shift and arrow? I think it's Windows Shift and arrow. Let's find out if that's the one. It might be Windows. I'm not sure. Maybe it's not working on the Mac. Maybe that's what's going on. Because I'm using a Mac keyboard. So you can switch between these desktops by just hovering on your taskbar and saying, let me go back to another desktop. This is great if you only have one monitor on your desktop. But as you were saying, Tiffany, one of the things that you can do is you can use these multiple desktops across your multiple screens. So on the screen on your left, which I know is a TV, you can actually set that up so that when you drag something to that screen and it's on that screen, you can still use these snapping tools to put things on the right place on that screen. So you'll still be able to do that. And here, as another example, is PowerPoint is running there, nice and clean. And then on the taskbar, if I come over here and look at it, I can see that I can then switch between that and my second monitor. Now, I use that all the time on the Mac, in addition to the multiple physical screens that I have. So I have an unlimited amount of views that are just a couple of keyboard clicks away, where I have lots of things running. Yeah, it can slow down your computer.
How you get the task down on the bottom? That thing down on the bottom again.
Sure. So this little guy is called Task View. So to get it, we're going to right click anywhere in the open space on the taskbar and choose Taskbar Settings. Okay.
All right. And then right click and then.
Yep. Right click and choose Taskbar Settings. And then this gear box here is going to show up. And you're going to be taken right to the very page that you need to be on to do this. And that page is Task View right here. Just click that into the on position and you are good to go. And for those of you who just joined me, I saw a couple of faces pop over here to Facebook. The task behaviors to put your taskbar on the left-hand side. It's at the bottom of this screen here under task behaviors. You can click that and open it up and choose Taskbar Alignment, and you can put it on the left or center, just so you remember to do that.
Now, can you leave this open? Keep leaving this open, or leave it down there permanently?
The settings?
The task view.
Yeah. Once we've put it there, by turning it on like we just did here, it's essentially every time you start your computer, it'll be on. Okay. All right. So I have another neat thing here. So let's say I'm going to close Chrome, not Chrome. I'm going to close Excel, and I'm going to close Word, and I'm going to make Chrome kind of not full screen, but I'm just going to make it so that it's not sitting on the edge there. So here's Chrome. So I'll say we'll go to Gmail. So I got my Gmail account here. This is one of my demo clients. So I'll open up Chrome, let it load. Now, while Chrome is loading this little page here for Gmail, right? While it's loading that, I'm going to come down to the taskbar at the bottom of the screen. And I think you're going to love this. Chrome only has one window open. Now, there's only one tab, but you could have 10 tabs or whatever. If you wanted to open another instance of Chrome to work on a different profile or work in some other way, move your cursor over the icon on the taskbar and hold down the Shift key and click the icon for Chrome. So you're essentially starting Chrome again. And what that Shift click is going to do is it's going to open up another window in Chrome. It's the same as hitting Control N, but it actually opens up a brand new instance. And if you're using profiles, and you'll see here in a second, it's going to say, okay, which profile do you want to use? So this is a fast way to open up multiple profiles in Chrome easily and quickly without having to go and restart it. So adding another one. So this is cool. So I love that little trick. So again, shift click, and that works. Let's say you had, you're working on a PowerPoint, you want to work on another one, you want to open another one. Shift click on any of the icons on your taskbar, and it will open up another instance of that program. That's one of my favorite little tricks. Okay, we're going to save Chrome for some of the stuff that I have for you for last. And now we're going to start talking about your desktop. Now you can see here, I'm looking at a very, very clean desktop. There's nothing going on here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on the desktop. When there's nothing here, there's nothing going on. And when I do this, I have some view options. I can change some of the things, but I don't have any icons on the screen right now to really play around with. So we're not going to worry about these until we have more on the desktop. But we can do some things like desktop backgrounds. We can do display settings. We can do personalization to change the pictures and so forth. We have all sorts of things that we can do. But the one I'm interested in here right now is new folder. So when I choose new, the folder option is the first option, but look at this. I can create a new shortcut to a document or another folder. I can, if you have Microsoft Office, the full install like I do here, you can open up a new database. You can do an image. You can do a Word document. You have all of these different things here that you can create a new instance of. So without opening Word, I can create a new Word document just from the desktop. But for right now, I'm going to click a folder. So I'm going to create a new folder. And in this new folder, the name of this folder is going to be called Quickie. Now, I named it this way because this particular folder, we want this thing to be our catch-all for our business day. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a couple of other folders here. And the way that I'm doing this, by the way, is I'm going ahead and clicking on the folder, and I'm using the Control key or the Alt key. So the Control key creates a new copy, another empty folder. The Alt key creates a shortcut to this. So I can create shortcuts or I can create copies. The Control key is the copy, like Control C. So Control click, and I can create a copy. Now, why would I want to do this? So let's go ahead and I'll show you some stuff here. So inside the Quickie folder, let's say we have a couple of documents. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to create a new document. And this one here, let's say that we'll just call it new document. That's fine. And I'm going to create a couple of versions of this document. So you see I'm creating copies. I'll create some more copies here. So if you're working on Monday and you're doing a lot of stuff and you've got all of your things that you're doing on Monday, and at the end of the day, you need to sort things out, you can then go into the folders where these things belong, and you can move them into the folders where they need to be. So go ahead and allow yourself to be a little cluttered, a little discombobulated during the day while you're working. But at the end of the day, you're going to take the documents that belong in, the property 123 Main Street, and you're going to move them into that folder. So you can just use the folder structure to your advantage by keeping documents where they need to be by just clicking and dragging them at the end of the day so that they're in the right folder. Now that begs the question, how do I know what folder to go to? How do I know where I'm supposed to be? How do I know what these things are, especially if I'm having a hectic day? So now let's talk about file name management. This is probably one of the biggest productivity tips that you can get, is how to name your files. Now, as a real estate agent, you're dealing with people and you're dealing with places. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create this new Word document right on the screen here, and I'm going to open up this Word document. I'm hoping that this is going to work across the two programs, but we'll see what happens. Okay, no. All right. So we're going to use naming conventions. So in naming conventions inside of your world, we want to start thinking about what is the best way to name documents. So If you're dealing with properties, then you always want to start the name of the file is the name of the property. Okay, so if you've got 123 Main Street, then you should name your file 123 Main Street. But it's not just the property. What is the kind of file? If it's an image, it kind of already knows it. But if it's a document that's, 123 Main Street septic, 123 Main Street appraisal, make sure that you're always adding that information to the document's name so that when the document name is searched for, you'll be able to find it. So if I've got a property 123 Main Street, and this is the tax card, go ahead and name your Word document that. So I've got Word open right now, so that's why it's telling me you can't rename it. So I'll close Word, don't save, and then we'll come back over here and save this, and then it will save it. There we go. So 123 Main, try again. There we go. So this is a great way to use your naming conventions. If it's about a person, go ahead and put their name in here. And the whole reason is because all the way back in the beginning of our discussion, in the search dialog, if we go into anywhere into search and we click on search, if we're looking for 123 Main Street, we will then be able to find all of the documents that are related to 123 Main Street. And here on the left, there is that document that we just talked about. And by the way, the new Windows search not only searches your computer, but as you just saw, it searches the web as well. So you don't have to open up Chrome or Edge or anything like that, and you can get to the documents that you need and get to anything on the web, okay? So name your documents with very, very strong rules. So number one, if you're dealing with something that is yearly based, so if it's taxes for a year, make sure you add the year at the beginning. This way, contracts, make sure you add the date of the contract, signed on 2/2/22. If you have folder structures that are going to be all over your desktop, if you've got a lot of these things and you're getting a little bit confused on what things are and where they are, then name one of them financial information. One of them is listings. One of them is your buyer clients. One is your marketing materials. Name them authoritatively. Name them very, very smartly. And here's what you can do when it's all said and done. In Windows Explorer, which I showed you, the shortcut key is Windows E, which is always this little folder icon on your desktop. You will have these quick access links, and I've got them kind of crushed up right now, but the quick access area is a great way for you to organize how you see things. So in the quick access area, you can drag any folder so that it's always visible to you no matter where you're searching. So let's say take this quickie folder for our daily, just kind of at the end of the day, we're going to organize it, and click on it and drag it to the quick access area and drop it. And now, wherever you're looking, whatever you're doing, the quickie folder is going to be right there. When you go into it, you'll have access to everything that you're working on for that day. Organize your folders in a way that makes sense to you. And then within those folders, you have all the stuff that you need for any of those particular projects or anything like that. Don't be afraid to put folders in folders and to organize a little bit deeper. So maybe you've got, a folder inside of another folder, and that's going to be for all of the marketing for 123 Main Street. So it's marketing 123 Main Street. And now you've got the tax card and you've got marketing. And not only do you have access to it quickly, but again, when you're searching, so if I go down here and I say I'm going to search for 123 Main Street, now I have, not only do I have the document that I was looking for, here's the documents, and here is the tax card, and I also have the file explorer here where I can go and say everything related to that. It will find everything. So again, I love this tool. I love the idea of organizing it so that you can find stuff. Okay. Folders for navigation. All right. Let's talk about folders for navigation, but we're not going to talk about them on your desktop anymore. We're going to talk about them in Chrome. So I'm going to open Chrome. I'm going to show you some things inside of Chrome. So if you're familiar with Chrome, Chrome allows you to have profiles. And as a real estate agent, having multiple profiles can be a very powerful tool for you. So for example, I've got John here. This is a guy, John Morgan. It's just this fictitious character who is a client in my world. He's in my database. He is part of all of the demonstrations that I do. I've got an email account for this John. I've got everything. So John, I've created a Chrome profile for. And then I have me. I have my own real business profile. So I have a profile for everything to do with work. And you can create, according to Google, as many of these profiles as you need. What's nice is you probably have noticed, I'll go ahead and open up John Morgan here. When I do a class, I typically do the class from the profile of one of these fake people so that the experience for you is not cluttered with all of the websites that I visit for my work and all the things that I do for me as, the pseudo agent. This is a great way for you to focus and cleanly work on anything that you're doing without any other distractions. Every profile is a self-contained object. It has its own passwords. There's its own logins. It's got its own color schemes. It's got its own layouts. It's got its own extensions. And it functions in a way that you can work cleanly and easily without distraction in your world. This is different from you working on your stuff during the day, right? Why would you need a profile that's not you? Well, maybe you just want to work focused. So maybe you have a focused day and it's focused on everything to do MLS. So you have all the bookmarks that you need for LMS stuff, and you're just going to be doing that. It's a way for you to think clearly. Here is a folder on the bookmarks bar in Chrome. And if you don't have the bookmark bar visible, you can go to the 3-dot menu to the right of the profile icon, and you can choose bookmarks, and then you can choose show bookmarks bar. I kind of go by the shortcut, the little shortcut you saw there, which is the show bookmarks bar is Control-Shift-B. I use that all the time. So Control-Shift-B shows and hides that bookmark bar. So it's kind of nice. Okay. So here is my toolbar. And I want to give you an example of what I show a lot of new agents when they come to us and they're starting to try and figure out how to manage all of the different things that are going on. If you create a new folder on your toolbar, and let's say we'll call it 123 Main Street. Now you have a folder where everything that you search for, all the files, all the access, all the places that you go that are regarding that particular transaction, if you put them into that bookmarks toolbar folder, you'll have your own menu and navigation system for exactly that address. So all I did was I clicked the lock icon and I dragged it into the folder and let it go. And so now I have direct access to that web page. So if this was, say I'm working somewhere else, let's say we're working on our Google Drive, and you need to get to 123 Main Street and find out something about that transaction. You can do that by just clicking on the folder that you created and then going to the resource that you're looking for. So are you ready for this? Here's where things get turbo. When we talk about 123 Main Street, we can also talk about, and let me go ahead and switch over to my other profile, which has access to KW Command. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to go to, here's the shortcut for you. RAGENT is my shortcut to open up quick Textexpander to load up agent.kw.com and then get me ready to log in. So RAGENT is my Textexpander shortcut. So when I log into this, all that stuff here, it just did it automatically. So here we are. Go ahead and log in. All right. So when you're in command and you're working on a particular deal, particular transaction, and you need to jump between the contact information, the documents, the DocuSign, all those things. If you create a folder on your toolbar for this entire transaction, so we're going to call this 123 Main Street. So now I have a folder. So when I come in here, maybe the transaction is centered around that John Morgan. So I'll go back to my contacts area in command. Of course, it's running really slow right now, which makes it fun. Come on, kids. Come on. You can do it. You can do it. Halfway there. Now, we joke about when you're a trainer and you're doing this stuff, you just want things to just load up and go and do what they're supposed to do. And invariably, you go to click on something and the system goes, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and lay down for a few minutes right now. And so we wait. So I can see half of my screen is filled up with the contact area right now. It's kind of cool, right? Come on. Come on. You can do it. And in a way, this is kind of proving my point, because when you're in here and you're trying to work, so we'll go look for John Morgan. Having these shortcuts, when you see in a moment, you're like, oh, wow, you can do that. You can open up all your shortcuts at one time. Yeah. Wow, this is really running slow. Must be me. It must be me. So let's go ahead and make this a little bit bigger. And maybe eventually John will load up on the screen. Oh my God, I'm going to die. So, Mr. Vincent, how do you feel about the speed improvements in command this week? Well, I got to tell you, Bob, I'm not really happy about it. I think that they could do better. And frankly, it would be really nice if this didn't have to look at a failed load. I think that'd be really helpful. Yeah, I think you're right, Bob. Don't ever call me Bob. How y'all doing?
I was just going to let you know I haven't left you.
I wouldn't be surprised if you did. You and I need to talk.
While we're waiting.
Yeah. You and I need to talk, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I know. Did you get my message?
Yeah, I got your message. We need to talk.
Okay. Is there a way to create something on the toolbar, kind of like what you're doing now for contacts, but it literally just be like, if you open this folder, here's all the contacts for Robert. Here's all the contact for Alana. You can almost just click on something, or would you have to create a document?
That's a really cool idea. So a directory in a folder.
Yes.
Why not? So let's just take this as the example. So, and regardless of whether we're talking about command or any other resource that is web-based,
yeah,
so here's John Morgan, right? So let's just take John Morgan's address. This is John Morgan's location. And we can take John Morgan and drop him into that folder into 123 Main Street. Now, that contact page is for John Morgan. So we can edit that to read John Morgan.
Okay. Now, what about just the link to your email or your phone number, or?
Oh, so like just that?
More basic. Yeah.
Well, because this isn't actually a web page, it's a link.
Right.
I don't know. Well, it does show here. Hold on. I wonder if I take this and drag it. No, it's not going to come off of there. But if I copy this, I'll tell you what. Copy link address. Okay. And then let's replace. You got me thinking here. This is kind of cool. Let me replace the actual link there with what you've got for command contact. No, that's going to, let's see. No, it didn't take, because it's trying to take the page. So
Okay.
let me see if that one works. Hold on. Why not? Boom, boom. Boy, that's a good question. I don't think it's going to do that. No, it wouldn't open up like that. No, it's not going to take the individual data, but you can have the page. And then, of course, in command, you just click on the name of the email and
Right.
it'll open an email. So it's kind of halfway there. But really, your point is well taken, because what we are talking about is navigation. So if I put everything to do with John Morgan and the opportunity that I'm working on right now into that folder, then I would have 10 links that are all specifically related to that one person. And then I could open up his Narin page, his MLS page. I could open up the DocuSign page. I can open up his Facebook page to see how things are going. I can do anything from that one folder. Instead of having to find all this stuff, I've centralized it and put it in there. Now, one of the examples that I use a lot is each of these folders is kind of like a transaction. And when you're done working with John Morgan, you guys have been working together for 3 or 4 months. The house has been bought and everything. When you're all set, you can get rid of this. You can get rid of the folder off of the bookmarks and then go on to the next contact and then add the folder here. Or if you've got 5 or 6 running at one time. So you have all access to each of your transactions from the folders that are on your bookmarks toolbar. And you don't have to go fishing around. You can do one of my favorite things is to take multiple, and I'll go ahead and show you. I'm just going to try and make this happen without it being forever. You can take multiple pages, multiple locations. So let's go ahead and we'll open up an opportunity here, and it's going to take forever, I'm sure. And then we'll open up Google Maps. Okay. And then we'll open up another one here. So I'm opening up multiple tabs, right? So let's go ahead and open up, I don't know, let's, tips for real estate agents, for sure, why not? So I got all these tabs. Here's the tab for what I'm doing with his transaction. I'll drag it into the folder. Here's the tab for the actual opportunity. I'll drag it into the folder. Here's the tab for the map of the home. Maybe it's a website with legal information. And here's another one. So I've put all these things in here, right? I'm going to close all these tabs up, get rid of them because they're all inside the folder now. One of my favorite things is when you need to work with a client, right-click the folder that contains all of the stuff that they have and choose Open All 5. And then what it's going to do is it's going to open up all of those into their own tabs. And instead of having to navigate to each one, you now have all 5 of the things and places and locations that you need. So it's like a portfolio for this transaction. And when you're done, you get rid of it and you add the next transaction, or you have 5 running at the same time. Very, very cool stuff. All right. So there's a lot of stuff that we've gone over here. One of the things that I want to make sure you guys take away from this is that my system seems to be running really slow. So I want you to remember that. Organize the tools that you use. You know, we talked about using the shake method here to be able to work in focus and get rid of all the other programs and all the clutter on your screen. Talked about using multiple screens, virtual screens, using the taskbar and using the multiple views here. They call that the virtual screens. And you can make as many of those as you want. And if you're running multiple computer screens, then you're in really good shape because, as I said, I run multiple screens and it changes my way of working dramatically. So do all those cool things, have fun with it, organize your files into a good way of working, and create yourself a quickie folder that you use on a single day and you dump everything into, and at least you know at the end of the day where everything that you worked on that day is, and you can rename the files, put them into the correct folder structure, and start the next day nice and clean. All right, that's going to do it for Tech Tuesday this week. And it's still loading up. Can you believe that? I'm just going to go ahead and kill it. It's driving me nuts. Next week, we're going to be doing DocuSign 101, starting at the fresh because it's the beginning of the month. Basically, everything starts new at the beginning of the month next week. We're going to be talking about Command 101, going back all the way down to the database and looking at it from the beginning. And then on the 301, haven't quite decided yet, but you're going to know at the beginning of the week what that is. So do me a favor.
During the class, today during the class, did you do what happens when you get the forms back? DocuSign, remember you said? So once they get sent to the listing agent or the bot or whoever, and then they come back to us and we have to do edits, that's what you were going to do today? No.
Well, we went through PDFs today.
Okay.
So stay on with me, Tiffany, because I'm going to go ahead and let the people go on Facebook here. Everybody up on Facebook, we're going to let you guys go. And I'm going to chat with you about a couple things that we got to go over. So stick around. All right. Okay. Let me do this and I'll be right with you.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll be back.
Okay. All right, you guys on Facebook, we will see you soon. Have a great